In the heart of Denver, at the city's most exclusive restaurant, a man walked in who would change everything. He wasn't a celebrity, a politician, or a business mogul. He was an elderly man with worn clothes and a trembling hand. But little did anyone know, this man was about to reveal a truth that would shake the foundations of their world. The early morning sun cast long shadows across Elon Musk's private meditation garden in Austin. The gentle trickle of the Zen fountain provided a soothing backdrop as he sat cross-legged on a hand-woven bamboo mat, his mind wandering through the complexities of human nature. It was during these quiet moments, far from the chaos of board meetings and production lines, that his most intriguing ideas often surfaced. Today was no different. What defines human dignity? He pondered, watching a hummingbird dart between carefully manicured bonsai trees. Is it inherent, or does it fluctuate based on external perceptions? The question had been gnawing at him since a recent conversation with his chief of staff about wealth inequality and social bias. Later that morning, during a video call with his executive team, Musk seemed distracted. While they discussed quarterly projections and market strategies, his mind kept returning to an idea that was forming, a social experiment that would strip away the layers of prestige and recognition that usually surrounded him. As his team wrapped up their presentations, he made a decision that would set in motion an extraordinary chain of events. Over the next 3 weeks, Musk worked with a small, trusted team to orchestrate his transformation. He enlisted the help of Antonio Verdi, a renowned makeup artist known for his work in Hollywood's most convincing aging effects. Together, they crafted a persona that would be both convincing and inconspicuous. Harold Jenkins, a 72-year-old retired high school teacher who had fallen on hard times. The transformation was painstaking. Antonio spent hours perfecting the prosthetics that would alter Musk's facial structure, slightly drooping jowls, deeper wrinkles around the eyes, and a more pronounced nose. They chose a slight tremor in his right hand and a barely noticeable limp, details that would make the character more authentic without drawing too much attention. Remember, Antonio advised during their final fitting, it's the small things that make a disguise believable. How you hold yourself, how you move, even how you breathe, everything must align with who Harold Jenkins would be. Musk immersed himself in the character. He practiced Harold's walk for hours, developed a soft, slightly gravelly voice, and even created a detailed backstory. Harold had taught physics for 40 years at a small high school in Minnesota, lost his wife to cancer 5 years ago, and recently moved to Denver to be closer to a daughter who had become too busy with her own life to visit him. The choice of Denver was strategic. Far enough from the tech hubs of Silicon Valley and Austin, it offered the perfect blend of sophistication and anonymity. After careful research, he selected the Golden Oak, the city's newest and most exclusive restaurant. Opened just 6 months earlier by celebrity chef Marcus Chen, it had quickly become the cornerstone of Denver's high society dining scene. The restaurant's reputation was built on exclusivity. Its modernist architecture, featuring sweeping glass walls and custom-designed furniture, screamed luxury. The waiting list for reservations stretched months ahead, and its clientele included politicians, celebrities, and business moguls. It was, Musk decided, the perfect stage for his experiment. On a crisp Friday evening in October, as the Rocky Mountains painted the horizon in brilliant shades of purple and orange, Harold Jenkins made his way slowly down 17th Street. The clothes had been carefully chosen, a threadbare but clean tweed jacket from a thrift store, slightly scuffed dress shoes, and a worn leather watch that had seen better days. Each item told its own story of dignity in decline. Inside the Golden Oak, the evening service was in full swing. The soft glow of hand-blown glass chandeliers illuminated tables where Denver's elite engaged in their nightly ritual of seeing and being seen. The air was filled with the gentle clinking of fine china, the murmur of important conversations, and the subtle notes of a jazz quartet playing in the corner. Maria Rodriguez had been working at the Golden Oak for 4 months. At 26, she was younger than most of the staff, and her appointment had raised eyebrows among the more experienced servers. But Chef Chen had seen something in her during the interview, a genuine warmth that couldn't be taught in any service training. The daughter of Mexican immigrants, Maria had worked her way through college waiting tables, dreaming of the day she could open her own restaurant, not a place of exclusivity and pretension, but one where good food and kindness would be served in equal measure. The Golden Oak job was a stepping stone, a chance to learn from the best while saving for her dream. As Harold Jenkins pushed open the heavy brass doors, the restaurant's carefully maintained atmosphere of sophistication rippled with tension. Victoria Pierce, the maitre d', who prided herself on maintaining the Golden Oak standards, immediately stepped forward, her perfectly manicured hands clasping tightly together. "Sir," she said, her voice carrying that particular tone of polite dismissal that only years in high-end service could perfect. "Do you have a reservation?" Harold shook his head slowly, his hand trembling slightly as he gripped his worn leather wallet. "No, ma'am," he replied softly, his voice carrying a gentle Midwestern lilt. "I was hoping to have dinner. It's my wedding anniversary. My Eleanor, she loved fine dining." Victoria's expression flickered between annoyance and discomfort. Around them, guests began to take notice. A woman in a Chanel suit whispered something to her companion, who smirked in response. At the bar, a group of young executives stopped their conversation to watch the scene unfold. That's when Maria stepped in. She had been setting a table near the entrance and had overheard the exchange. Something in Harold's voice, the mixture of dignity and sadness, touched her deeply. "I can take care of this table," she said firmly, stepping forward. Victoria turned, surprise and irritation crossing her face. "Maria, we have protocol." Victoria began, but Maria had already moved to Harold's side. "Please, follow me, sir," she said warmly. "I think I have the perfect table for you." As she led him through the restaurant, Maria could feel the stares of other diners. She guided Harold to a small table near the window, positioned so he could see both the stunning city views and the elegant interior of the restaurant. "Our chef makes an amazing butternut squash soup," she said, handing him a menu. "It's perfect for an evening like this." Harold smiled gratefully, his hands still trembling slightly as he accepted the menu. "Thank you, young lady. You remind me of Eleanor. She always saw the best in people, too." Throughout the evening, Maria found herself drawn back to Harold's table more often than necessary. While other servers avoided the section, whispering among themselves about the homeless man at table 7, she made sure his water glass was never empty and that he had everything he needed. In the kitchen, she faced criticism from her colleagues. "You're wasting your time," said James, a senior server. "He probably can't even afford the breadbasket." But Maria stood firm. "Everyone deserves to be treated with respect," she replied, her voice quiet but determined. "Isn't that what the Golden Oak is supposed to be about?" What the staff and other diners didn't notice was how keenly Harold observed everything around him. Behind the elderly man's facade, Musk was mentally recording every interaction, every whispered comment, every sideways glance. He noticed how the sommelier skipped his table entirely, how nearby diners requested to be moved, and how the manager kept walking past, checking for any sign of trouble. As the evening progressed, the restaurant's treatment of Harold became increasingly obvious. When he accidentally dropped his fork, no one rushed to replace it except Maria. When he asked about the chef's specialties, other servers gave cursory answers and hurried away. But Maria took the time to describe each dish in detail, even sharing her personal favorites. Near the end of his meal, an incident occurred that would prove pivotal. A well-dressed businessman at a nearby table, who had been watching Harold with growing irritation all evening, called Maria over. "How could you let someone like that in here?" he demanded loudly, his voice slightly slurred from too much wine. This is the Golden Oak, not a soup kitchen. Do you have any idea who I am? Maria stood her ground, her voice steady despite her racing heart. Sir, every guest in this restaurant deserves to be treated with respect. If you have concerns, I'd be happy to have the manager speak with you. The businessman scoffed, but Maria's quiet dignity seemed to deflate his anger. Around them, other diners shifted uncomfortably in their seats, some looking ashamed of their own earlier reactions. As the evening wound down, Harold asked for his bill. Maria brought it with a slice of apple pie, on the house. Everyone deserves something sweet on their anniversary, she said softly. That's when Musk decided it was time to end the experiment. Slowly, deliberately, he began removing the prosthetics that transformed him into Harold Jenkins. The restaurant fell into stunned silence as recognition dawned on the faces around him. Maria, returning with coffee, stopped mid-step, her eyes widening in disbelief. Standing up, Musk addressed the now silent room. Tonight, I conducted an experiment in human dignity. While most of you saw what you expected to see, someone beneath your notice, Maria saw a person worthy of respect and kindness. She didn't know I could buy this restaurant 100 times over. She simply chose to treat a fellow human being with dignity. Turning to Maria, he handed her an envelope. Your kindness wasn't a performance for tips or recognition. It was genuine, and that's increasingly rare in our world. Inside the envelope was a check for $1,100,000 and a note for the person who proved that true class has nothing to do with money. Your dream of opening a restaurant that welcomes everyone deserves to come true. The world needs more Maria Rodriguez's. The impact of that evening rippled far beyond the Golden Oak's elegant walls. Within hours, social media was ablaze with the story. Local news crews arrived the next morning, eager to interview Maria and anyone else who had witnessed the event. But the real changes were more profound and personal. Victoria, the maitre d', submitted her resignation the next day, saying she needed to reevaluate her priorities. The Golden Oaks management, under intense public scrutiny, announced a new Dignity First policy, requiring sensitivity training for all staff. But perhaps most significantly, Maria's life changed in ways she never expected. With Musk's gift, she accelerated her plans to open her own restaurant. 6 months later, the Welcome Table opened its doors in a renovated historic building in downtown Denver. Its mission was simple: to serve excellent food in an atmosphere of genuine warmth and respect. The menu, a creative fusion of her mother's Mexican recipes and her own culinary innovations, earned rave reviews. But it was the restaurant's policy of treating every guest with equal dignity that truly set it apart. The Welcome Table quickly became known as a place where CEOs and street cleaners sat side by side, where the quality of service didn't depend on the price of your clothes or the size of your wallet. Maria even instituted a pay-what-you-can policy for certain tables, ensuring that good food and dignity were available to everyone. Musk himself became a regular visitor, though he never advertised his presence. He would sit quietly in a corner, sometimes disguised and sometimes not, watching as Maria's kindness continued to change lives, one meal at a time. He later admitted in a private interview that the experience had changed his own perspective on wealth, privilege, and human dignity. The experiment sparked a movement. Other wealthy individuals began conducting similar social experiments, testing the boundaries of human compassion in various settings. But none had quite the impact of that first night at the Golden Oak, where one server's simple kindness exposed both the harsh reality of social prejudice and the transformative power of human dignity. Maria's story became a beacon of hope in an increasingly divided world. The Welcome Table grew into more than just a restaurant. It became a symbol of what was possible when people chose to see beyond appearances and treat everyone with respect. Regular customers included both millionaires and homeless individuals, all served with the same genuine warmth that had caught Musk's attention that fateful night. Years later, When asked about the evening that changed her life, Maria would simply smile and say, "I didn't do anything special. I just treated him the way everyone deserves to be treated." Her words, simple yet profound, continue to inspire others to look beyond appearances and find the humanity in every person they met. The story of the Golden Oak experiment, as it came to be known, is still shared in business schools and hospitality training programs around the world. But its most lasting impact can be seen in the small, everyday interactions at the welcome table, where Maria's philosophy of universal dignity continues to transform lives, one meal at a time. In the end, Musk's experiment revealed something powerful about human nature, that true character is best measured not by how we treat those we think important, but by how we treat those we think aren't. And in a world increasingly divided by wealth and status, this lesson remains more relevant than ever.